Swim! Captain Locke ordered his men as salt water splashed his face. They could see the land in the rough water. The sea was calming after the Thunderbird left, but they were starting to get chilled. His fingers were numb. He had thrown off his long coat and let it sink into the ocean. It was too hard to swim. Keep swimming! He was about to speak again, but he saw something move in the water. A black fin sliced through the water. A well? There were white marks below the water. A killer whale. Bugger. That wasn't good. Get moving! The well fin vanished. Captain Locke stopped swimming as his eyes swept his fleeing crew. How many others had seen it? Someone screamed. Captain Locke looked to the source. The water was bobbing up and down, but there was no crewman there. No, there was, but he was gone. Dragged to the ocean depths. Captain Locke thought. Fire and lightning, that was all he had. The second to know. Not while in the water, but the second. Get to the shore now, he roared as he treaded water. The black fin emerged again, but it swam towards the captain. With a splash, it vanished. The mage began his spell. As soon as the dark shadow grew beneath him, he unleashed the flames into the water. It instantly was extinguished, but boiled the water. It seared Captain Locke's skin, but also the whale's. He swam quickly to shore. Water dripped from his pants as he looked back at sea. The whale's fin was swimming towards him again. It didn't matter. Whales don't walk. The captain moved into the middle of his crew and took a quick census. A yell broke out over his crew as the whale jumped from the water and landed on 4 strong, thick legs and charged forward. A dozen more creatures surged to the shoreline right beside it. Captain Locke readied himself as the beasts attacked. Welcome back to Mythical Phylogeny. I'm your guide, Jason. When pursued by a predator, you will often try to flee out of its territory. Going to land or sea are common places, but what if the predator isn't bothered and hunts on both sides? That is the Ahklut of Inuit mythology. Let's take a look at this strange predator. The Ahklut is described as a creature which is a mixture of an orca and a wolf. Both creatures sit near the top of their respective food chains. This creature comes from Inuit legend. There are several origins, but the most common speaks of a man who was obsessed with the sea. So obsessed that he began to alter his form, and his village was repulsed by his new appearance. He was exiled and became obsessed with revenge as he lived with wolves, and thus he became the Ahklut. Signs of an Ahklut is when you see a wolf's tracks walking into the ocean. It's said to be fond of human flesh, and is a savage predator. Some say that it will change its appearance as it goes from the ocean to the land and back. So what would this creature look like? Well, let's start with the feet. We've got wolf paws. This will help it move on land. Now if we web them, that will allow it to swim better. But to get the best grip on the water, I have the toes to be able to spread out. Thankfully, there are some anatomical similarities between all mammals. You see, whales, wolves, humans, and bats all have the same number of bones in their bodies. Some are just a different size. Now, a whale's fin and a wolf's paws have the same bones. That means to get the spread on the fingers, we want to have longer phalanges. Nothing too complicated. Next up, we have the hips and shoulder joints, where we can keep the wolf's shoulders, since the whale's design is for range of motion and not weight bearing. Also, we'll need the wolf's hips. You see, the whales have a vestigial hip. That does basically nothing, but serves as a few muscle attachments. After that, we'll need the tail. Whale will use its whole body to swim, but to promote the tail attachments, the wolf's hip system will need to be enlarged, much more than it is for what the current tail is. Overall, this will give it a bulkier body. I would also use the whale's tail to improve its swimming capabilities. Lastly, we'll need the head. Whales have their nose or blowhole located on the top of their head, but wolf's nose is very important. Canines have a very well-developed olfactory system. It is much larger and used to hunt prey. So what is the problem? Whale's blowhole is located on the top to allow for easier breathing when a whale surfaces. If the nose was on the front like a wolf's, then it will need to tilt its head to breathe. This is the problem here. Whales' necks are shortened and lack flexibility. Not like the wolves. Which is better for the Ahklut? Well, there is a reason I wanted to talk about the wolves' sense of smell. This is a key tool to hunting on land. The Ahklut will need to track prey, and being able to follow the prey will help it. But what should we do here? Well, this isn't an animal which is fully committed to sea life. I believe having the nose located on the front of the head, but near the top of the head, giving it an upwards turn, similar to a hippo, the whale's closest living terrestrial relative. That and adding a longer wolf neck would help. I'd also add a small flap that seals the nose while underwater. Now, is there anything in the false record that looks like this? Well, yes. The last ancestor of the martyr whale, the Mesochinids and the Archaeocetids, this group of animals lives up to about 50 million years ago. This seems like a similar match to our Ahklut. It'll need to have the fin tail and the dorsal fin, but a similar build. So, is there a reason that the Inuit knew of this creature? Well, an interesting fact is that the polar whales are believed to have evolved later than the others. It isn't too outrageous to think that a strain of the ancient species may have remained behind in the area until after humans arrived before going extinct. Now, there are a few other changes I would add. First is blubber. The water of the Arctic Circle is cold and would kill most animals in it that aren't protected. A layer of blubber will help to insulate it. Also, we'll need to have an issue with child rearing. Like a whale, the pups will need to be raised to breathe water and may struggle to swim at first, but should be able to after a little while. If not, it'll need to make a den on land. I assume that the Ahklut is on the larger side due to being compared specifically to an orca. If it was close to a dolphin size, I think that a dolphin would be used rather than the whale. What sort of skin do they have? Wolves have fur. Would the Ahklut or would it have the rubbery flesh of a whale? Fur protects against small parasites, but the rubber skin of a whale helps reduce the resistance while swimming. What should the Ahklut have? Well, large amounts of salt water can also serve as a defense against insects. So I'll side with the rubbery skin with minimal fur. There's one final concern. Both whales and wolves live in packs. So what should the Ahklut do? Yeah, I'm going to side with the Ahklut is probably a pack animal. This would turn it from a solo creature into a group threat. So, how do we combat the Ahklut? There are two fields here. The easier land, and the much more difficult sea battle potential. Let's stay on land first. On land it will fight like a wolf. It will stalk you, and have the pack surround you. They will try to drive you into water. Wolves will do this while hunting moose, and will drive them into deep snow to limit their mobility. The Ahklut, if it forces you into the water, where it can hunt just as easily. But they may also charge you from the water, be careful. You can fight back using a spear, a sword, or a mace. Any will work, but remember that blubber will offer some protection. You'll need a deep blow. The skull will be the best location. It will lunge at you. That can give you the opening to evade the attack and counter. A bow or javelin will provide you with range. You'll want to go for the larger flanks or down the throat. Magic will be nice. Fire will be potent since the Ahklut isn't resistant to it, but I would avoid ice. Electricity would be extra useful once you get it out of the water. Its sense of smell will be susceptible to smoke and alchemical compounds. You can use these mixtures to hide your scent and let you do the stalking. A strong one could even disorient the beast. As for armor, I would go for plate. This will reduce the danger from the bite force, which is about 40,000 pounds per square inch. They'll put a dent in your armor and could even break steel armor. But without it, yeah, it won't be pretty. It might still be nasty, so I would avoid getting bitten. You can create a glue-like compound to seal the mouth if you're quick and lucky. The Ahklut can claw you, but like the wolf's claws, they are short and used for holding you while it bites. At sea, it will be harder. Whales are often known to create waves which capsize ships. This has been an increasingly common problem with them in the past few months. They charge and then stop to create waves. If you are in a boat, it could knock you over. If you're in an outrigger boat to offer some stability, which is a smaller vessel, or you could go for a larger one. Either will make it harder for the Ahklut, but not impossible. It can still ram and break through. While on a boat, you can use lightning while safely insulated here. Harpoons, cannons and like will mix in well. With a harpoon and rope, you can drag it in and make it easier to handle. get it into melee range. Here you can use basic whirling techniques. If you use a metal rope, it can conduct electricity into the harpoon. The Ahklut is a versatile foe that is capable of intelligent thought, learning, and planning. They may come in numbers and easily outweigh you, not to mind its impressive strength and ability to fight on land and sea. This is why I need to give the Ahklut a 5 of 10 for difficulty. If you face it, make sure it is on your terrain, not the Ahklut's environment of choice. So, you best the Ahklut, what do you get? First off is all the blubber. It can be used to make wax for candles or cooking fat. The meat works well when smoked or made into a stew using the blood as a base. The skin can be tanned to thick leather, which is good for winter clothing. Bones can be shaped into tools and a variety of weapons. But then we have the alchemy. First off, all the compounds of the Ahklut can have the side effect of inducing rage. So add in some sedating compounds to balance it out. The blood can be used as a strengthening potion, or the liver bile can be used in a water-breathing potion, or one for cold resistance. Now, the Ahklut have a hunger for human flesh. They are cooperative animals. That means you could tame it. That'll be difficult to quell its hunger, but you'll be able to recruit it to your side. That'll give you a mount that is good on land and in water, not to mention one that has a powerful bite. Captain Lark sprang backwards. He pulled his magic and unleashed a wave of flames. It hindered the Ahklut, but they weren't stupid. Rocking back and forth in the ocean, they created a wave of water which quenched the quick defense. They rushed forward, the large mouths agape. The powerful legs kicked the sandy shore and sent them airborne before landing on the men. No human could lift the immense body of the Ahklut. Men screamed as the jaws clamped down on their heads. His men were fleeing, but too slow. The great beast ran over the sandy surface as easily as if it was simple dirt. They were trapped and unable to fight back. A large one approached him. His face was red from a recent burn, and this one seemed vindictive. It jumped at the captain, who barely escaped, but the beast's claws sliced into his shoulder. He clutched the bloodied tissue. Steeling himself, Captain Lark drew on his magic. In a giant crash, he sent lightning out. It jumped from beast to beast. Their skins smoked as they toppled over. Captain Lark was shaking as he looked around. He was alone. His men had either succumbed to the Ahklut or been slain by his magic. The sickening smell of burnt meat stung his nostrils. His heart sank at the loss. His crew was gone. His ship was gone. Nothing was left for him. No. He had one thing. He had to find that fruit. He had to fulfill his oath. He told her he would. Pushing off, he headed out. The Ahklut has incredible potential. You'll need to face it with care when you run across it, adventurers. Thank you for watching. Please return next week. We'll be catching the furry fish, the Lotsalunga. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.